Season 1 of Landman ended by making viewers believe that everything was about to explode. Power was shifting, pressure was rising, and every choice felt like it would come with a heavy price. The oil world was shown as brutal, fast, and unforgiving, where one mistake could destroy careers, families, and lives. When Season 2 was announced, the promise was clear. The story would go deeper, the stakes would be higher, and the characters would finally face the cost of the world they live in. At first glance, Season 2 looks like it is doing all the right things. The setting is still harsh, the deals are still dangerous, and the tension is always present in the background. But the more you watch, the more you realize that the show is moving forward without really moving anywhere. Scenes feel heavy, but the impact is light. Conversations sound serious, yet they rarely change anything. The show keeps telling us that things are getting worse, but it struggles to make us feel it. One of the biggest issues is how Season 2 handles momentum. Season 1 pushed the story forward with every episode. Each decision mattered, and every win came with a hidden loss. In Season 2, the same sense of urgency is missing. Problems are introduced, discussed, and then stretched across multiple episodes without real payoff. Instead of tension building naturally, it feels delayed, like the story is holding back on purpose. Another part of the problem is expectation. The audience was ready for consequences. We expected deals to fail, alliances to break, and characters to face real damage. But Season 2 often plays it safe. Big moments are teased, but when they arrive, they feel smaller than promised. This creates a gap between what the show wants the audience to believe and what it actually delivers on screen. Season 2 is not bad television, but it struggles under the weight of its own promise. It wants to feel intense, but it moves too carefully. It wants to feel dangerous, but it avoids real fallout. This is where the core problem begins. The show asks viewers to stay invested, but it does not reward that patience in the way Season 1 did. And once that trust starts to fade, every scene feels longer, every conflict feels weaker, and the excitement that once defined Landman slowly slips away. This clash between promise and reality sets the tone for everything that follows in Season 2. And it explains why so many viewers feel disappointed even when the show appears to be doing everything right. One of the biggest problems with Season 2 of Landman is how the storylines are handled over time. Instead of moving forward with purpose, many plots feel like they are being pulled longer than they need to be. Conflicts are introduced with strong energy, but instead of growing naturally, they slow down and repeat the same beats again and again. This creates a feeling that the show is filling time rather than telling a sharp, focused story. In several episodes, the same issues are discussed from different angles, but the outcome rarely changes. Characters talk about risks, money, power, and pressure, yet those conversations often lead back to where they started. The tension stays in the air, but it does not turn into action. As a result, episodes begin to blur together, making it harder for viewers to remember what actually moved the story forward and what simply passed the time. Season 1 worked because every scene felt necessary. Even slow moments carried weight because they were clearly building towards something. In Season 2, that balance is missing. Some storylines feel important at first, but then they get paused, restarted, or stretched without adding new meaning. Instead of escalation, the show relies on repetition, hoping that saying the same problem again will make it feel bigger. Over time, this weakens the impact instead of strengthening it. Another issue is how the show spreads its focus. There are too many small conflicts happening at once, but not enough progress in any of them. When attention jumps from one storyline to another without resolution, the audience never gets a strong emotional payoff. Viewers are left waiting for moments that feel earned, but those moments keep getting pushed further away. This creates frustration, especially for viewers who are deeply invested in the characters and their choices. The pacing also plays a major role in this problem. Some episodes feel overloaded with dialogue but light on consequences. Important. Decisions are talked about endlessly, yet the results of those decisions are delayed. When consequences finally arrive, they often feel rushed or underwhelming because the buildup lasted too long. This uneven rhythm makes the season feel longer than it actually is. What makes this even more disappointing is that the core ideas are strong. The world of oil, power, and survival is full of natural tension. But instead of sharpening that tension, Season 2 dulls it by circling the same conflicts without pushing them to a breaking point. The show seems afraid to let things explode, choosing safety over bold storytelling. Because of this, viewers may start to feel disconnected. When progress slows down and repetition takes over, excitement fades. The story still exists, but the urgency is gone. Season 2 does not fail because it lacks drama. It struggles because it refuses to fully commit to change. And without real movement, even the most intense world can start to feel stuck. As Season 2 of Landman continues, the cracks in character writing become harder to ignore. The biggest issue is not that characters make bad decisions, but that their choices often feel disconnected from who they were built to be in Season 1. Actions happen, words are spoken, and conflicts rise, yet many of these moments feel forced, as if they exist only to keep the story moving instead of growing naturally. From the characters themselves. In Season 1, characters felt grounded. Their choices were shaped by pressure, fear, ambition, and survival. Even when they made mistakes, those mistakes made sense. In Season 2, that clarity fades. Characters suddenly change direction without enough emotional buildup. Decisions that should take time and struggle happen too easily, while moments that should feel personal are rushed or skipped altogether. This makes it difficult for viewers to stay emotionally connected. Another major problem is how growth is handled. Season 2 had the perfect chance to push characters into new territory, showing how power and money slowly change them. Instead, many characters feel stuck between old habits and new roles without clear development. They repeat the same emotional patterns, argue about the same problems, and face the same fears without learning from past experiences. This lack of growth makes their journeys feel flat, even when the stakes are high. There are also moments where characters react in ways that feel unnatural. Emotional responses do not always match the situation. Sometimes characters remain calm when everything around them is falling apart. Other times they explode over issues that feel minor compared to the dangers they face daily. This imbalance weakens the realism of the story and pulls viewers out of the moment. Relationships also suffer from this inconsistency. Trust is built and broken too quickly. Alliances shift without enough reason. And conflicts between characters often reset instead of evolving. Instead of relationships becoming deeper or more damaged over time, they feel paused in place. The emotional weight that should come from betrayal, loyalty, or sacrifice is often missing because the show moves on too fast. What makes this frustrating is that the performances remain strong. The actors clearly understand their roles, but the writing does not always support them. Strong scenes exist, but they are surrounded by choices that feel unclear or rushed. When character logic breaks down, even powerful performances struggle to hold everything together. Season 2 needed to let characters drive the story, not chase it. By forcing decisions instead of earning them, the show weakens its emotional core. Viewers want to believe in these characters, to understand them, and to feel their struggles. When choices stop making sense, that connection slowly fades, leaving behind a story that feels busy but emotionally hollow. Season 2 of Landman struggles with one major issue that quietly affects everything else. It does not always know what kind of story it wants to be. At times, the show leans into hard realism, showing the oil world as cold, risky, and unforgiving. In other moments, it shifts toward family drama or personal conflict, slowing down to explore emotions. On its own, this mix is not a problem. The real issue is that season 2 fails to balance these tones in a smooth and meaningful way. Many scenes feel emotionally mismatched. Moments that should feel heavy and intense often pass too quickly, while quieter scenes linger longer than necessary. When danger is close, the show sometimes pulls away instead of leaning into the pressure. When emotions should explode, they are often held back or cut short. This uneven rhythm makes it hard for viewers to fully connect with what is happening on screen. In season 1, tension felt natural because the tone stayed focused. Even personal moments felt tied to survival and risk. In season 2, emotional scenes often feel separated from the larger story. Characters discuss family, fear, and loyalty, but these moments do not always connect back to the bigger stakes. As a result, emotions feel. Another problem is how the show handles seriousness. Season 2 wants to feel intense, but it sometimes softens moments that should hurt. Loss, betrayal, and pressure are introduced, but their impact fades too quickly. The story moves on before the audience has time to sit with those feelings. This creates emotional distance, where viewers understand what is happening but do not feel it deeply. The pacing adds to this disconnect. Episodes shift between slow and fast without a clear emotional path. One moment builds tension carefully, and the next rushes through consequences. This makes it difficult to stay emotionally invested because the show does not give enough space for reactions to settle. Viewers are told that events matter, but they are not always shown why they should care. What hurts the most is that the material itself is strong. The oil world, the power struggles, and the personal costs all carry natural weight, but without a clear tonal direction. Those elements lose strength. Season 2 feels like it is pulling in different directions at once, never fully committing to one emotional experience. Because of this, viewers may feel detached even during important moments. The story continues, the risks remain, but the emotional pull weakens. When tone and emotion fall out of sync, the drama loses its grip. And in season 2, that emotional disconnect becomes one of the biggest reasons the story fails to hit as hard as it should. Even with all its flaws, season 2 of Landman is not without its strengths. In fact, some of its best elements show exactly why the disappointment feels so strong. The show still has a powerful foundation, and in certain moments, it reminds viewers why they were invested in the first place. But these positives are often not enough to carry the season as a whole. One of the clearest strengths is the atmosphere. The oil world still feels heavy, dangerous, and unpredictable. The locations, the visual style, and the constant sense of pressure create a setting that feels real and tense. Even when the story slows down, the environment itself keeps reminding viewers that this is a world where one mistake can cost everything. This visual and emotional backdrop remains one of the show's strongest tools. The performances also deserve credit. The actors bring weight and realism to their roles, even when the writing does not fully support them. Small gestures, quiet moments, and emotional reactions often feel genuine. In certain scenes, you can sense the struggle behind the characters' eyes, the stress they carry, and the fear they refuse to speak out loud. These moments hint at the deeper story the show could be telling. Season 2 also introduces themes that have real potential. Ideas about loyalty, control, greed, and survival are present throughout the season. The show clearly wants to explore how power changes people and how money can twist relationships. On paper, these themes are strong and relevant. The problem is not what the show is trying to say, but how it chooses to say it. Where season 2 falls short is in execution. Strong ideas are introduced, but they are rarely pushed to their limits. Emotional moments are hinted at, but not fully explored. Conflicts appear serious, yet they often resolve too easily or fade into the background instead of building toward meaningful turning points. The show settles for small shifts that do not leave a lasting impact. Another issue is consistency. The show occasionally delivers strong scenes that feel focused and intense, only to follow them with episodes that feel scattered or slow. This inconsistency makes it difficult to trust the story. Just when viewers begin to feel reconnected, the momentum drops again. Over time, this back and forth weakens the overall experience. What makes this especially frustrating is that Season 2 did not need a complete reset. With tighter pacing, clearer character arcs, and stronger consequences, the existing pieces could have come together in a powerful way. Instead, the season feels like a missed opportunity. It shows flashes of brilliance, but rarely allows those moments to shape the larger story. In the end, Season 2 proves that the problem is not a lack of talent or ideas. The problem is focus. Without committing fully to its strongest elements, the show struggles to deliver on its promise. And that is why, despite what it gets right, Season 2 still feels like it falls short of what Landman could have been. As Season 2 comes to a close, the biggest question surrounding Landman is whether these issues are temporary growing pains or signs of a deeper problem. The show still has time to correct its course, but only if it is willing to make bold changes instead of small adjustments. Right now, Season 2 feels like a warning, not because the story is broken, but because it is drifting without a clear direction. One of the most important fixes would be restoring real consequences. The world of oil, power, and money is meant to be unforgiving. When characters make risky choices, those choices need to leave lasting damage. Wins should cost something, and losses should change people. Without this, the tension feels artificial. The show must stop protecting its characters and allow the story to challenge them in ways that cannot be undone. Another necessary change is tightening the storytelling. Fewer stretched plots and more focused arcs would instantly improve the pacing. Instead of spreading attention across too many conflicts, the show needs to choose what truly matters and push those stories forward with purpose. Clear beginnings, clear turning points, and clear outcomes would help rebuild trust with the audience. Character growth also needs to become the heart of the story again. Viewers do not need constant action, but they do need emotional movement. Characters should evolve based on what they experience. Fear should turn into caution or recklessness. Power should lead to isolation or control. Loss should leave scars that shape future choices. When growth is visible, even slow scenes feel meaningful. Tone is another area that needs attention. The show must decide how it wants to balance realism and emotion and then commit to it. Emotional moments should connect directly to the larger stakes, not feel like side stories. When danger rises, the tension should stay present. When emotions break through, they should feel earned and unavoidable. The potential is still there. The setting remains strong, the themes are relevant, and the performances continue to carry weight. But potential alone is not enough. If the show continues to hesitate, to delay consequences, and to soften its own impact, viewers may lose patience completely. Whether it is too late depends on what comes next. If the creators are willing to take risks, trust the story, and allow real change, Landman can still reclaim what made it compelling. But if Season 2 becomes the standard instead of the exception, the show risks fading into something forgettable. The future of Landman rests on one decision: to play it safe, or to finally let the story hit as hard as it should. By the time Season 2 of Landman reaches its later episodes, many viewers are not angry or confused, but quietly disconnected. This is often the most dangerous reaction a show can face. When frustration turns into emotional distance, interest slowly fades. The story may still be running, but the bond between the audience and the characters begins to weaken. This disconnect does not happen because viewers stop understanding the plot. It happens because they stop feeling involved in it. Season 2 spends a lot of time explaining problems instead of letting the audience experience them. Risks are discussed more than they are felt. Pressure is talked about more than it is shown. When a show tells instead of shows often, the emotional pull begins to disappear. Another reason for this disconnect is predictability. Even when conflicts look serious on the surface, Viewers start to sense that nothing truly permanent will happen. Characters survive situations that should leave deep scars. Relationships bend but rarely break. Power shifts feel temporary instead of life-changing. Once the audience feels that the story is holding back, suspense loses its strength. The emotional pacing also plays a role. Season 2 often moves on too quickly from moments that should define characters. Pain, fear, and regret appear briefly, and then fade, without time to sit in those emotions. Viewers are not given a reason to carry them forward. Each episode resets emotionally instead of building on what came before, making the season feel flat over time. This matters because Landman is built on tension and consequence. It is not meant to be comfortable viewing. It is supposed to make the audience uneasy, uncertain, and invested. When that edge softens, the show loses its identity. What remains is a story that looks serious but feels distant. If this disconnect continues, the long-term impact could be severe. Viewers may still watch out of habit, but excitement will be gone. Discussions will fade. Emotional reactions will shrink. And once a show reaches that stage, it becomes harder to bring people back. No matter how strong the material becomes later, Season 2 stands at a turning point. It has revealed not just flaws in writing or pacing, but a deeper issue of emotional engagement. Whether the show can rebuild that connection will decide its future. Without emotional investment, even the most dramatic world becomes easy to walk away from. At the heart of Season 2 of Landman lies a problem that connects every other flaw. The show is afraid to fully commit to its own story. It introduces danger, but pulls back before the damage becomes permanent. It sets up emotional conflict, but softens the fallout. It hints at transformation, but stops short of real change. This hesitation shapes the entire season and explains why so many